Roger, Dodger, sports fans. Right, so this is a video about my ultracapacitor bank, what I've made, with some interesting, rather cheap items I bought off eBay. From America, nowhere else seems to supply them. And that's these, so there's 6 of them. I only bought 5, but thankfully the guy sent me 6. Maybe he sent it to make the array a bit more useful, because it would have been 12.5 volts. And as it happens, now it's 15 volts. So just alongside it here is a car battery, and you'll see the reason for that shortly. So at the moment the bank is charged up to 2.2 and a bit volts. Just to show what I've got wired on it at the moment is these jump leads, basically 2 of them, and they're just wired onto the output, if you like, of the array. Negative, positive. There's a bit of a dry solder there, but I need to get a flame on it and do the solder properly. But they were just, it was just some bar with holes in it, so I drilled the holes a bit bigger. You could have it in a flat, like 6 in a row, but I decided it could fold up into this shape, which is a bit more like the size of a car battery. So I think, when you put capacitors together, basically, you half or something the capacitance level. So this doesn't hold. This is what I'm trying to illustrate with this video. It doesn't hold anything like as much power as a car battery. The only difference is you can charge it instantly, and you can discharge it pretty much instantly as well. It's obvious a car battery could rip your head off, or rip you in half. It's got that much power in it. It just can't release it quickly, and same as for these, but it just doesn't have anywhere near as much chemical energy as a car battery. So, just to show it you, I'll just run something, the highest load item I've got, which is this little fan eater from Maplin. Nice little thing, it was only a £5. I think people just think, fan eater for my car, I don't want that piece of shit, and they're kind of right, but I was looking for a way to solar power heat my house, basically. So, right, so this is what I've been doing. So that meter has got the voltage level of the array, and I'm just going to basically clip it on there. Now, it does get hot, but you've got to bear in mind a car battery has a cold cranking amp capability of about 300 amps, and the wires get a little bit hot, but watch this, you can charge it up in a little under a minute or so. But the wires, at first, because it's draining a lot, the wires get warm. But I'll stop every now and then. You could imagine this now is like turning the key on your car, so like, you know what I mean? So I'll just cut it off for now. Yeah, and the wires, it's not burning hot, but it's warm. You can see we're up to 10.5 there. I didn't put a meter across the battery, but it was freshly charged, so it was probably up to about, at least up to 12. I'll just charge it as long as it'll charge, really. You see the meter start to stop climbing as fast. Just cut it off now so the wires don't get too hot. Check the wire every now and then just to make sure it's not that hot. So up to 12.5. This, like I said, is like turning the key on your car. This is like, you know what I mean? So you imagine if you've ever tried to start a car that doesn't want to start, flatten the battery doing it. It doesn't take very long, does it, basically? And your battery will be flat as fuck. Because that's because a starter motor draws a lot of amps. It's practically a dead short. So I'm up to 12.5 there, and the wires aren't very hot. I want to give it a bit more though. I don't know what the battery's got in it. See, at this point it starts to top off where it's not putting it much in, and the wires don't get hot anymore because it's not really booming. So yeah, that voltage is the battery. That's what the battery's got in it. And I've just got the wires stuck through the jump lead there, because the jump lead is just made of a load of strands, basically. So the array's up to more or less what the car battery is now. and it's not charging at a right rate. It's 15 volt rated that now, so 12 and a bit is well within the limits of it, and it sort of starts to equalise. I'm not sure whether you'd really want to run a car with a thing like that in it, but you could certainly suddenly draw even power to drive the motor forward, and that apparently they're used on KERS systems, kinetic energy recovery braking systems, basically. Right, so the array is charged up, and if I just push the car battery out of the way, this fan heater here. This fan heater wouldn't. It's a bit temperamental. £5, what are you gonna do, eh? So the lead with lines on it is the positive one. There we go. It's a bit difficult trying to do this with the phone in my hand. Just goes like that for a sec. Right. So now should have the ability to run this fan heater, and I'll monitor the voltage and show you how long you can run a little fan heater off the Ultracaps for. I mean, let's face it, you wouldn't run the fan heater long off a car battery though, but make sure it's on heater mode so it tans a lot of power, and you'll see the voltage start to drop. Oh. Just a bit shit, that heater, it doesn't want to start off on its own. So you'll just see the voltage drop now, and oh yeah, it's toasty and wow. I was just curious though about, using solar power to keep charging these and then heating your house up. So, I mean, the little fan heater thing is wearing away now. It's not bad for a £5, I think, from Maplin. It'd fucking well de-ice a window. I don't know what people on the net are whinging about. So yeah, you can see this thing. Let's have a look at the ratings on it whilst we're here. So there's your ratings. Basically 12 volt, 15 amp, 150 watt. And you can think of that in terms of like an 150 watt light bulb or 260 watts or something. It would boot out a fair amount of heat, wouldn't it? It would heat a room up. It's definitely warm. Down to 11. You can see it zips on down, doesn't it? It certainly zips on down. So this was from Maplin, this heater, just to go over that point again. It was a £5 though. £5 for a little fan heater. I'm quite impressed really. I'm wondering whether I can heat my house on solar with it. Definitely a nice. It does feel like the fan heater in a car, effectively. Yeah. It'd do in a Land Rover or something like that. It will sort one of them out. So we can see now already after a minute or so, we're down to 10 and a bit. And it's zipping down like fuel on a jet plane. It's nice though, it's a nice little bit of heat coming out off it. I think what you'll find happening is eventually it just starts, when it gets to like 5 volts and that, very little heat comes out of it anymore. And yeah. I'm going to do the same test though at some point with a car battery though, just to see how long you can run the fan heater off a car battery. It's not. I wouldn't have thought though. In all honesty, it's more than about an hour, half an hour. Not even that. It depends on the size of your battery, of course. So you had a big fuck off array of them, and they were gradually trickle charged. I reckon you could keep this fan heater on constantly. So, but that just comes down to then, have you got enough solar panels to put in what you're taking out? And have I got 150 watt constantly coming in now? But some people have. And this is exactly what they could do with it. What are we up to there? 8.7? I mean, I've got the door open, but it's changed the heat in the room a bit. It's pleasant. Yeah, it's definitely pleasant. And I've got the heating on as well, so. And I've got it pointing right at me. Talk amongst yourselves. Nah, I like these to sort of test me. I always watch mad shit like this, seeing how long something will do something and what have you. It's buzzing. That's the point in YouTube, isn't it? So we don't all have to do everything. So yeah, this is my array. Currently running the fan heater, 7.9 volts. It's been running it for a couple of minutes now. Still warm, still starting to slow down a bit. Like I said, you know, it's getting to be on underneath 7.5 volts there now. We've had it running since 12 point odd. It's definitely made the room a little touch warmer. I didn't measure that. Perhaps should have got a thermometer out. To be honest, this sort of level, it'll probably run for an age, because it starts to, you know, the heat coming out of it starts to dwindle a bit. In all honesty, it's better than watching an LED for 5 hours, though, isn't it? It'll run an LED for a fair amount of time. Another just point of interest is this light here, this lamp that I've got. Can you see that? It's actually currently running off this car battery here, and it has been running for a fair old few hours and over a couple of, not a couple of days, but over a day or two so far, down to 11.46 volts. I'm going to charge it back up off solar power. I think it was charged up off solar power or not. It's just mad to think though. The only drawback is I've not got an LED bulb at the moment. Got an AC inverter, and that cane's half a watt. That's on its own. So then you plug an 80 milliwatt light bulb into it, and you know, and that. So it's basically like using half a watt bulb instead of a little one. So I'll get some LEDs in then. But it's nice to have just your regular energy saver on like that, and it does run for hours. So it's still putting out a little touch of heat there, and it's down to 6 volts now. Maybe one of them big long uploads, this, isn't it? I'm sure there's more interesting ultracapacitor videos where people burn shit and spark shit, but I'll be honest with you, if you're going to do that, you might as well just play with a welder, because it's better. I don't know though, nice and portable for that sort of mad shit. It's still got heat coming out of it, coming down to 6 volts there. Running off 15 volt ultracapacitor array. Surprisingly, still got a little touch of heat. It feels a bit like the fan in a car on not even one. And it's still going. And not only that, when it gets to about 4 volts or something like that, you could power something like a Game Boy or whatever for a long while. I think I'll cut it off a bit short, but I'll still show you a little bit more, see how long it maintains putting heat out for, and the fan turning on it. Fan's still turning. Still heat coming out of it. A little. Right, so anyway, suppose we were happy with the amount of heat we've managed to cane out of it. Get rid of the heater now. Pushed it, nice and warm. You drag the battery back over, and we stick the negative clamp on the negative side, and get the meter so we can see it again. And it's just like, do you remember how long it would take a lead acid battery to charge, or a nickel metal hydride, or a NiCad, or a lithium? Nothing like as quick as this. I'm just going to stop it for the leads getting hot's sake. And remember, this is equivalent to turning the key in a car, going in it. Like, this is equivalent to that. Batteries have got a great amount of cold cranking amps, and they are designed to do that. So this is equivalent to Duff car won't start. Are the wires hot? A little warm. What? Nearly there at this point. Well, this is like the tank getting brimmed. At least with what I can supply it off one car battery, which more or less equalises it, but that could go up to 15. I think a bit of a safety margin is in order though, so stop it for a second there. Check the wires. They're warm, but at this point the stop, the current draw will be less, or well, maybe it's balancing in it, you know, that's reaching what the battery is. So I remember the battery said something like 12.7, didn't it? Many moons ago, many minutes ago. So there you go, and let's put the battery out of the way again. I've not really got anything particularly interesting to show running. I've got this little vacuum cleaner, but that don't cane nowhere near as much as this thing does. The AC inverter canes quite a lot. I just hook that on there. And we're back in business. Cool. Put that in place where people can see it. Back in business, there we go. So, but you can see, even a big bang like that, well, it's not that big, 6 of them, when getting 150 watt caned off it, that's how quick the voltage goes down. So it's pretty damn swift, in all honesty. I reckon though, if it wasn't 150, I mean, imagine 150 watts, right, going into a speaker, boom, 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 proper light, fucking beatbox, proper loud. That's the sort of battery I want to use it for, to be honest. What else could there's no need to plug anything else in it, really, though. Got some mad items that might suit it, really, but you can see how fast it can be charged and how heavy the load can be, and they don't get out of it, they don't even care. They just love it. They're made for it, aren't they? I was thinking another thing you could do is wire them all up so it's 2.5 volts, but all of them the same way around, and then you would have all the capacitance of the whole fucking lot of them, and then then it would be you really would be able to heat things up, but not make spectacular high voltage sparks like with a welder. I'm just looking around if I have got out to spark up, but I'll be honest, I don't like doing it because I have got a welder, and I know what that's like though, but I wouldn't mind trying to put a welding rod in it and charge it up though, to see what it would do. I'm sure it would melt it, or a thinner welding wire. But I've got no great desire to do it because it's bright, it can blind you basically. So be careful with bright sparks, and just get a good welding master, you know, on them automatic jobs. That's how you do it. So yeah, there's still heat coming out of the fan heater though. This is like effectively like starting a car, and now the heat is stored up in them and used for whatever you want. Now that's one of the highest loads you can even put in a car is 150 watts, 15 amps, like that. You know, I wouldn't really, unless you change the fuses and you check the wiring basically, because imagine somebody putting a 1000 watt AC inverter in the car, and the wiring in the car can't handle it, and they're trying to run fucking 1000 watts worth of bullshit whilst they're camping off the car. Doesn't make sense, does it? So you gotta check the grade of your wiring. Things like that want wiring directly onto a big battery. So yeah, anyway, once again, coming up to 20 minutes, I'm sure you've got the point of how quickly in that they can be discharged. I'll make another video though for the fun stuff like burning stuff and sparking, but this is how much power versus a lead acid. And bear this in mind, nowhere near as much overall energy storage, but the ability to charge and discharge is what that doesn't have. That will break it discharging it that quickly, basically. And the fan heater from Maplin, it was a fiver. Nobody wants this sort of thing because they think it's silly and obsolete, but I beg to differ, because if you've got solar power or something, that thing can run pretty much constantly all day. I'm going to go and try and plug it in a bit. No, it's pissing it down, it's grey, so it won't run today, but I'm sure it will run. So, Ultracaps, yes. Peace out.